The Tipping Point with Mike Tipton is brought to you by Dubby. What is Dubby? Dubby is a clean energy drink that is made to give you focus with no crash, jitters, or angst like those other energy drinks have. They also have no maltodextrin fillers and don't use artificial dyes. Dubby contains vitamins, amino acids, a nootropic, and 150 milligrams of caffeine. W's products are made in the USA in an FDA-inspected facility that strictly adheres to GMP manufacturing guidelines. All of the flavors are unique and custom-made by W, and you'll never taste our taste anywhere else. The best part about it is they're affordable. W's drinks come out to about $1 per drink, much cheaper than Starbucks or any of those canned energy drinks. To learn more, visit w.gg.com/MRTipton33 and place your order today. Use promo code MrTipton33 and save today. W Energy, be better. What's going on, everybody? I want to tell you about my new friends over at Cleverman. Visit them online at becleverman.com. What they gave me was the energizing face and beard scrub along with the Cleverman face scrubber. And trust me when I say this, the energizing face and beard scrub smells amazing. Combining it with the face scrubber, making sure that your boy was looking as good and sexy as possible, opened up a whole different sensation in my face that I haven't ever felt before. I felt so clean, so fresh, and so clean, like Outcast said, and it helped me feel like I was ready for my day. Make sure you visit them online at becleverman.com and follow them on Instagram at clevermannyc. The link is up in my bio if you want to check out all the amazing products they have. Visit them online, becleverman.com. This is Mike Tipton from Tipton Sports Broadcasting, inviting you to join us on Tuesday, June 10th at Buffalo Wild Wings, 655 Sunland Park Drive on the west side of El Paso for all-you-can-eat wings. As a big fat guy, you know I'm going to be stuffing my face, so why not join me and Brandon the Iceman Cone for all-you-can-eat wings? Be sure to tune in to Fire and Ice every Saturday as we talk sports or anything else that might come to mind. At B-Dubs, enjoy the $4 house beer Wild Herd, $5 Bud Lights, and $6 Voodoo Rangers. And take advantage of their $4 Fireball shots.
Fireball.
Happy hour is Monday through Friday from 3 to 6 p.m. Be sure to try the delicious new sandwiches like the beer cheese cheesesteak and chicken parm melt. Plus, all-you-can-eat wings Monday through Thursday until June 26th. $24.99 for bone-in wings, $19.99 for boneless wings, and the fries are included. All you can eat bone-in and boneless wings Monday through Thursday, and Fire and Ice every Saturday at Buffalo Wild Wings, 655 Sunland Park Drive. It is the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton. We are live here on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Instagram, on Roku via National Streaming Sports. And we are having ourselves a good old time here as it is a Monday and we just get out of a sports week, slower than what we're used to sports weekend. But it's all good. My guy, Tommy Carranza, saying good morning. What's up, bro? What's good with you, Tommy? Hope that you're having yourself a fantastic day today as well. Got to make sure I fix my microphone. I was doing a bunch of stuff this weekend, so I got to make sure that the microphone is at the right levels. If I'm a little too loud, let me know. Obviously, I can always, lower down my voice. We can go full NPR style. Just be like, "How's everyone doing today? Is it a fantastic day for everybody?" But I feel like that might be too sexy this early in the morning. A lot of things going on in the world of sports yesterday. The Oklahoma City Thunder with a 123-107 beatdown of the Indiana Pacers. That final score, a little deceiving. It was a lot more than just 123-107. It felt like it was constantly from the second quarter on, as my dude Beastrilla One Ass Cheek 3 Toes tunes in. You can check out his new podcast with Sonia Pearson, No BS. Beastrilla, let us know whenever that show comes on. I want to try to give it a little bit of love. I shared it. I want to say it was on Thursday or Friday. I shared it this past week, and it was a fun show to watch. My dude Beastrilla, Sonia Pearson, always having themselves a good old time. But that final score, 123-107, didn't really feel like the game was that close. Like it felt like throughout the majority of the second quarter, second half, it was a 20-point game. And that's what you have to expect from the Oklahoma City Thunder, right? Like, we were talking about this on Fire and Ice on Saturday. Beastrilla letting us know that the No BS podcast with Sonia Pearson coming on Thursdays at 8 a.m. Want to give a shout out to Ashley Candelaria and to Larry Bolton for tuning in over on Instagram. Augustine Pimentel saying it was a blowout. It absolutely was a blowout. But that's what you have to come to expect from the Oklahoma City Thunder. As a matter of fact, let me bring up the schedule. I probably should have brought it up earlier to look at what their scores are after they lose games. After they lose games. So they beat the Timberwolves by 2. That was a really close game that they had there. But let's go back to the Nuggets. They lose to the Nuggets 119-107 in Game 6 of the Eastern Conference semifinal, or the Western Conference semifinal. They lose to the Denver Nuggets 119-107. And then they come back and beat them 125-93. They lose to the Thunder in Game 1 of the Western Conference semifinal, 113-104, and then come back and beat them. Actually, hold on. Let me go back to that. They lose to the Denver Nuggets in Game 1 of the Western Conference semifinal, 121-119, and then come back and beat them 149-106. 149-106. We're talking about a 40-point and a 30-point blowout that the Oklahoma City Thunder do to these teams whenever they come back and win these games. Now, luckily for the Indiana Pacers, you can say, oh, cool, we only lost this one by 16. It wasn't 30 and 40 points like it was with the other scores. You're that much closer, I guess. But that's what Oklahoma City does. They don't lose back-to-back games. I think we were talking about this. I was talking about this on Friday with Augustine. I was talking about this on Saturday with Brandon the Iceman Cone. Twice this season. Once in November to the Mavericks and the Spurs, and then once in April to the Lakers and to the Timberwolves when they had nothing to play for. Twice this season, the Oklahoma City Thunder lost back-to-back games. They do not lose back-to-back games. Like you should not have put any money. If you're a degenerate like myself, you should have not put any money on the Oklahoma City Thunder to lose this game. It should have just been Indiana's going to lose flat out. I don't care what the spread is. It was going to happen. And for people to take victory laps like, oh, yeah, look, Oklahoma City, they won. Of course, it's what they do. It's what they've done all year. You must not have been watching basketball if you thought Oklahoma City is going to come out here and lay an egg against Indiana. Oh, it's a low-rated series. Yeah, everyone could have told you that. But the thing that doesn't matter about that is that the money's already paid at the beginning of the collective bargaining agreement. So it's not like ESPN or ABC genuinely care about what it is. They care about having the rights to it. Because what else would you have watched yesterday? What other thing out there yesterday would have drawn in the audience that the NBA Finals brought in? That was on yesterday. I don't even know what the hell else was on yesterday. Well, the cleaning lady on Fox? Is that the one? Is that the show that's going to outrate the NBA Finals? Give me a break. All these people talking ratings talk that don't know anything about ratings. Augustine saying soccer was on. Portugal versus Spain. What a final. But was that was on at 8 o'clock at night here? Because that would be, 7 o'clock in the morning over there? I don't think that was on. Also didn't even know that was going on. So it shows how much attention I've been paying. I did get a lot of stuff. I'm going to be putting out different reels today on social media, different reels, different shorts, all kinds of stuff that I got from U.S. Soccer yesterday. So that's going to be fun for your boy to put those up. We're working with U.S. men's and women's soccer. Slightly closer to covering the World Cup. Slightly closer to covering the World Cup. Augustine, let me know what happened in that Portugal versus Spain game. We'll give you a couple seconds to type out what it is that you want to talk about when it comes down to soccer, football, as you called it the other day. But as you're watching that game yesterday between the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Indiana Pacers, you were kind of sitting back watching greatness happen, right? Like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the MVP for a reason. And he did exactly what he needed to do as the MVP to get this thing going, to right the ship for Oklahoma City. I know all the talk was, what's Chet Holmgren going to do? What's the bench going to do? Because they didn't do all that well. Chet Holmgren only had 15.6 boards. When you're 7-1, you should probably have more than 6 rebounds. But I'm just some dude. What do I know about stuff? Isaiah Hartenstein, how's he going to play? Like, that was the whole thing that surrounded this NBA final going into game 2. What's going to happen? How are these teams going to play? Augustine is saying Portugal and Spain played to a 2-2 draw and then went to a penalty shootout. Nice. Is that the one that I believe somebody won 5-6 in penalties? I'll have to double check that. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, once again, having himself a game. 34 points, better than the game that he had before. We had 38 points, but he had 34 points on 11 of 21 shooting, 11 from 12 from the free throw line. The free throw merchant. There we go. It's 5-3 in pens. Penalty kicks. That I will say is exciting. Like a shootout in soccer is extremely exciting. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander did what he had to do. The Oklahoma City Thunder get themselves that win, 123-107, beating Indiana. And I think the whole storyline that surrounded the Indiana Pacers was Tyrese Halliburton, right? Tyrese Halliburton, what's he going to do? And Tyrese Halliburton goes in to the fourth quarter with 5 points, just a couple of rebounds. I've got to look up what the box score was for Tyrese Halliburton in this game because it wasn't anything impressive, at least not going into the fourth quarter. Yeah, there you go. 3 boards, 6 assists, 17 total points. But he scores 12 points in the fourth quarter when it was already garbage time, when there was no need for him to get his points. And if you're going to be the guy that's a face of a franchise, you've got to make sure you're getting your points, right? And then, like, you look at everything here. Yes, he leads the way for the Pacers. He has 17 points. Miles Turner has 16. Pascal Siakam has 15. Aaron Nesmith has 14. Benedict Mathurin, 14. Andrew Nembhard with 11. TJ McConnell with 11. You had balanced overall scoring, but nobody really took the game over. The Eastern Conference Final MVP, Pascal Siakam, didn't take the game over. The Halliburton didn't take the game over. Augustine saying, do you think that the Pacers thought they had done a good job by stealing the game? Of course they did. That's all it is, right? They were playing with house money. You go in, you take game 1, you can afford to lay down game 2 because you assume that you would win 1 of 2 at home as well, right? That's what this is about. Right now, OKC doesn't necessarily have the home court advantage. Like, OKC is going to have game 7 at home, but they have to win and win and win. And now the pressure's on OKC, right? Like, again, Indiana has no pressure on them in this series at all. Indiana's a team that none of us would have thought would have been there to begin with. So Indiana, yeah, they were playing with house money. They kind of laid it down a little bit. You could tell yesterday there wasn't that same aggressiveness And that's normally how it goes, is whenever you win a game, you're less aggressive the next game. Whenever you lose a game, you're more aggressive the next game. What is it? Wednesday is when game 3 of the NBA Finals is going to be. I'm looking forward to seeing how aggressive Indiana comes out in this game. It's the NBA Finals. Like, we shouldn't even have to be talking about this. How aggressive are you going to be in the NBA Finals? You should put your foot on someone's effing throat and step down on it, so that way they don't have to worry about coming back and trying to win a damn game. Augustine saying, I still think it would be more exciting to have a 3-game series at a neutral location or a one and done. I mean, it would be. I don't think that that's the pushback on the single elimination tournament, right? Like, a 3-game series would be fun. A single elimination tournament would be fun. But there's money involved, right? Like, it would have to take a lot in collective bargaining, because this is the thing that a lot of people don't realize. And I know this is where I nerd out and I might lose a lot of people on some of this stuff. The TV contract that we're talking about right now, right? ESPN airing the NBA Finals on ABC, ESPN, blah, blah, blah. That's already been paid for. That was paid for whenever this TV deal came up with, 5 years ago? Maybe 4 years ago, right? So they're not losing any extra money. They're not losing anything else. They're just getting what they're supposed to get. They're supposed to get their return on investment from commercials and advertisers and things of that nature, right? That's where they get their ROI. They already paid the money. They get their return on investment by getting the advertisers out there. And if you have the opportunity to advertise and you have the ability to advertise during the NBA Finals, you're more than likely going to advertise during the NBA Finals. So they get their money back that way. They're guaranteed 4 games in the NBA Finals. That's all. You're guaranteed 4 games in each series. That's all you're guaranteed. So you hope that you get longer series out of this. If you take it down to just a 3-game series, you're going to have to try to maximize as much as possible the NBA, the return on investment that your broadcaster would lose, right? So you go from having multiple 6-game, 7-game series possibly to just one and done. Well, now you've taken their inventory and you've cut it down by potentially 7, if not, more than likely 5 or 6. How do you make that up in the long term, right? Like that's how that would be. That's the only pushback. I love, again, Augustine, we were on the same page here, which is something that doesn't happen very often. I love the idea of a single elimination tournament in the Professional Basketball Association. Like, I really do. In the NBA, you would have, as you're saying in the comments, you would have the audience. You would have them gripped. 100% you would. But you would need to find a way to make up that minimum, right? If you're losing a minimum of 3 extra games, now you multiply that times how many series did we go over? 14, 15 series. 3 times 15, you lost yourself 45 games. 45 games that you've got to try to make up. That's a lot of money to try to make up. A lot of money to try to make up. Augustine saying, but at 3 games, the games matter more and people would tune in. And or a one and done, imagine the audience. And again, I agree with you on that. I agree with you on that. Even if you make every series a 3-game series, and you're only guaranteed 4, you're still missing 15 games. That's 15 games of revenue, 15 games of revenue splitting, 15 games of hundreds of millions of dollars that you now have to try to find out to get somewhere else. That's what I'm coming at, right? Like, that's the aspect of it that I think is going to be very difficult to overcome. I love, again, I'm with you on this one. In my veins, I absolutely love the concept of every team in the NBA makes it to the playoffs. You have yourself a single elimination tournament, and you go on your merry little way. I love that idea. I think it would generate a lot of money in the long term. But in the short term, with a short term and as short-sighted as we see people are, especially when it comes to economics, that's where you're going to have the hard sell for a lot of people. Also, let's just be honest about this. If you don't care about basketball, you're not watching basketball. It doesn't matter who the teams are. If the New York Knicks were in this series, the casual basketball fan or the casual fan who does not care about basketball isn't going to tune in to watch the New York Knicks. Well, like it's just that simple. Basketball has had, and we've talked about this a bunch of times, basketball has had a marketing catastrophe trying to sell who the next big star is going to be. And I feel like they have that possibility, like they have it in their hands. Right now, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, you have the MVP. You have a guy going on one of the most unlikely runs that we've seen in basketball history, the comeback kids. I tweeted, or I didn't tweet this, I texted this out to a couple of my friends yesterday. It was 4 minutes left in the game. Indiana was down by 17. And I still could not bring myself to say this game is over until the game was actually over. Because we've seen this team 5 times in the playoffs this year come back and win these games. It's so hard for me to discount this team, to write this team off. So you have that team, that scrappy young team. Both these teams are extremely young. Both these teams have an ability of trying to make these deep runs in the playoffs time and time and time again. It feels like the NBA has something here. I'm not one of these people that I believe you have to be in a big market or a little market or blah, 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 blah. If the Green Bay Packers can be as popular as they are, it's all about marketing. If the Savannah Bananas can be as profitable as they are, it's all about marketing. And that's where the NBA has fallen short. The NBA put all their money in this postseason. We saw it at the beginning of the postseason. It's Luka, it's LeBron, it's Steph Curry, it's these players. The older players that have been there, that have been established, were the ones that the NBA kept trying to shove down your throat, especially LeBron James, knowing that the Lakers were a bad team, knowing that the Warriors were lucky to get one round into the playoffs. Where was the buildup for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander? Where was the buildup for Tyrese Halliburton and them boys? Now, I get it. Obviously, Tyrese Halliburton had to have this postseason to create this growing legacy that he has of being the new Reggie Miller, where he's choking teams out. What was it? Bleacher Report calls him the Indiana Strangler. It's a great nickname. I know that they had this thing going out there trying to call him the Moment. That's such a stupid nickname. The Halliburton already works. Yes, I get it. It's offensive, but it already works. I probably should stop calling him the Halliburton, looking the way that I look. But that's where the NBA has failed, right? Like the casual fan. It's not like the Super Bowl where you don't give a damn about football, but you tune in, you get commercials. Maybe the NBA's got to do something gimmicky like that, right? Like, let's have commercials that are NBA Finals only commercials that only air during these 4 potential 7 shows. Maybe that's what the NBA has to do. Something like that to help bring in the casual audience. But the New York Knicks playing against the LA Lakers, sure you would get LA, sure you would get New York, but you wouldn't get anybody else. And all these people sitting here talking about ratings talk and all this stuff. You don't know about ratings. You don't know what any of that stuff means. ABC and NBC and TNT and all them, they don't give a damn as long as they have the product to sell. Because they already sold the product. The money's already in the bank. If people aren't watching, okay, well, maybe it makes it harder to sell. But you know what I can say? This year was a down year because of the 2 markets that we're in. But look how great that series was. If this goes a 7-game series, you would want this to be a rematch all next season. You would be, circling. When does Indiana play against OKC? Because you would want to watch that. Both these teams are young enough that they can keep this core together. I know they were talking yesterday on the broadcast, Miles Turner contract might be up. You have to pay that man. He's the longest tenured Indiana Pacer. You have to pay that man. But it's just the marketing aspect of it with the NBA that has really done them in. And you can see that they didn't have, they wanted or they expected the Lakers and the Knicks to go really far because that's where all the marketing arm was was behind the Lakers, behind the Knicks, behind all that stuff. Even once the storyline of Nico Harrison and the Dallas Mavericks got kicked out, like you could have had that as a better storyline than what we have right now, right? Because it gives you something else to talk about. It gives you all the little fluff in the background. All you have right now between Oklahoma City and Indiana is really damn good basketball. And that to me should be more than enough to sell this product. More than enough for people to love this product. I know you're going to get the old heads. They shoot too many threes. Shut the F up. Who cares how many damn threes they shoot? It's an art form to be able to shoot from that far and make it that consistently. It is an art form. You are watching beauty as it's being painted. Just the Sistine Chapel, Michelangelo painting it right in front of you is the same way that it is whenever they pull up from three and drain that three with zero space between them. Obviously, I look at basketball a little more romantically than most other people do. But it is a beautiful, beautiful game. If you're watching any of this basketball game, I was watching it yesterday thinking to myself, how can the old heads hate this? Genuinely, how can the old heads hate what we were watching with basketball yesterday? It was free-flowing. There was the correct ISO when you needed it. Both of these teams doing the right play time and time again. Were there a couple of turnovers? Of course there are. It's basketball. But there was great defense. There was great offense. You had the MVP doing what the MVP needed to do. And all of the little surrounding things around it that made that game a beautiful game to watch. And the shame of it is that all that people are going to talk about with this game, the way that it ended yesterday was, yes, it was kind of a blowout. But all they're going to talk about is nobody watched this series because no one wants to watch Oklahoma City and Indiana. You don't want to watch it. It's because you don't appreciate basketball, and I totally get it. But it's also because basketball has done a terrible job at making you care. They had 5 days in the calendar all to themselves. There was nothing going on in the NFL last week. Hockey hadn't yet dropped the puck yet. They had 5 days to try to build a storyline about it. And all you got off of ESPN, the company who wants you to tune in and watch the NBA Finals, all you got from ESPN was, oh, man, there was no New York in here. Why can't there be New York? Imagine how great this audience would be if New York was here and blah, 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 blah. They were dumping. Let me rephrase that so that way I can make sure I get my point across. ESPN and all the people that are on ESPN were shitting on this NBA Finals, even though it was broadcast on their network, doing themselves a disservice because they were just worried about the New York Knicks. And, oh, how amazing would the audience be with the New York Knicks? No one cares about the New York Knicks. They're a terrible franchise. They've been bad for 53 years. That's coming from a Cowboys fan. They've been bad for 53 years. They weren't going to draw an audience. Oklahoma City wasn't going to draw an audience. Minnesota wasn't going to draw an audience. And Indiana's not going to draw an audience. The reason why is because people don't care about these teams, and it's the NBA's fault for why people don't care about these teams. Shout out to Brother We're Out There who tuned in over on Instagram. Thank you so much for being a part of it. I apologize. I feel like I got heated. I was a little heated there talking about the NBA. That subject went on much longer than I thought it would. And for those of you that stuck with me through that soliloquy about marketing and the NBA and all of the numbers and money and all that stuff that's out there when it comes to TV contracts, I salute you. A tip of the cap to those of you that stuck through that, because Jesus Christ. But that's where the sports business part of it, that's where I really, really dive in. Augustine Pimentel saying they would care if it was a one and done. Obviously that's it, right? Supply demand. Lower the supply, the demand increases. It's all about supply demand. Lower the supply, the demand increases. Just like I know the demand increase for Just the Tip.
I just want to put the tip in.
It's time for
Just the Tip.
That would make me uncomfortable.
Promise that it ain't too much, but
Just enough, just a tip. Just a tip.
Just the tip? Just the tip.
It's time for Just the Tip.
Just the Tip is brought to you by www.myhappynuts.com. Guys, I received it this week, and I'm going to post up the video later on today. I finally received my Happy Nuts full body deodorant. No longer will I be out here smelling like a Wookiee, smelling nasty and gross. I've already got the Balber taking care of me. I've got the Comfort Cream. I've got the anti-chafe stick, and now I have the full body deodorant. My Happy Nuts taking care of me from head to toe and, of course, everywhere in between. Shout out to our friends over at www.myhappynuts.com. Use promo code Mike Tipton at checkout and save on all of your male grooming needs. Augustine saying no more body smell of nuts. No more. No more duck butter. No more none of this stuff. I hope that y'all cannot hear that dog because that dog is driving me crazy. I'm about to go outside and choke slam a dog. Maybe it just hears me. Maybe it just doesn't like me. But I can say that we've been doing this show since November. Where the hell did that dog come from? Since November 4th, the first show that we did here on Roku at 8 o'clock in the morning here in El Paso. And that dog hasn't been there this whole time. Just shows up today. Jerk-ass dog. You all can see where my mind goes as I want all this to sound well. And I assure you, I promise you, if you do hear the dog, it's not very much, right? I'm the only one that can hear this dog, but my mind is fixating on this damn dog as it seems to bark with every word I say. Am I yelling? Am I screaming? Am I doing something like that? Augustine saying it's a new dog. It's wanting to get into the show. You know, there we go. We get new listener. That's how we're going to approach it. I apologize, dog. You're a new listener. Thank you for tuning into the show. Hopefully you're enjoying the show. Hopefully you understand what it is that I'm saying, and you're a good boy or girl. I address the dog, and it stops barking. Augustine, you must be the dog whisperer. Was that guy's name Caesar Milan or something like that? That's Augustine's new nickname, the dog whisperer. Okay, looking at some headlines over here in the world of sports. Augustine saying it's a Chihuahuas fan. I think it's a weenie dog. If I'm not mistaken, if it's my neighbor's dog, it's a weenie dog, which is weird because they've had that dog since before I moved into this house. It just hasn't barked this whole time, and like it's there. It just hasn't barked. Looking in the world of sports right now, searching all over the world for just topics that we can talk about. The Green Bay Packers are set to release cornerback Jaire Alexander after 7 seasons. 2 back-to-back injury-prone seasons for Jaire Alexander. Tried to come back late last year, ultimately had to get surgery for a PCL injury is what he said it was. So he has to go. He's gone. What is the future of his career going to be? What's it going to be like for Green Bay? Because this is late. This is super late in the offseason for this to happen. You're already in OTAs. You should already know what your roster is going to be. Now you introduce this type of chaos of not having, and granted, he might have been hurt. He was still, even though he only played in 7 games last year, their second best cornerback. So whenever he's healthy, he's really damn good. Now you're going to be missing that. That's a huge piece to be missing if you're the Green Bay Packers. Let's look up what the Green Bay Packers defense is going to look like. Searching. Looking at the Green Bay Packers roster right now. They have Jaire Alexander as the number 1 guy on their roster, and he's not even there anymore. And I would have said it might have been alphabetical, but then they have Deslin Alexander right under him, so it's not alphabetical. J does not come before D. Going to the depth chart. Nope, I'm not going to allow the Green Bay Packers to send me a bunch of stuff. On the defensive side, let's look at who their cornerbacks are. Carrington Valentine, Eric Stokes, Kessian Nixon, Corey Ballantyne. So you have Valentine and Ballantyne, or Ballantine, and Robert Rochelle. Woof. That's going to be a hard one to get through. The Green Bay Packers, once again, if this was the case, I get it reading the article, that they tried to find a middle ground. They tried to find something. Shout out to Victoria Holguin, who tuned in over on Instagram. They tried to find a middle ground with the Green Bay Packers to figure out what they're going to do with Jaire Alexander, and instead they just let him go. Obviously, he has the knee surgery. What's he going to be like? Is he even going to be able to start a game this year, especially at the beginning of the season? That's going to be the question that kind of surrounds it. But again, he only played 7 games for you last year, was second in interceptions on your team with 2, and was number 1 in pass breakups for the time that he played. He only played in 7 games. So whenever he's on the field, he's productive for you. I don't understand how or why the Green Bay Packers would just be like, yeah, we're moving on. I can't find any reason to have this guy be a part of the team. I can't have any reason to make sure that we're doing the best for our franchise as we move forward, especially in the NFC North, where these are pass-heavy offensives now, right? Like look at what they do in Detroit with Amon-Ra St. Brown, with like that offense. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit of a different offense with Ben Johnson being in Chicago, but Chicago's in that division now. Chicago has weapons on the offensive end, and it's just it feels like it's going to be pass-heavy, and the same thing with the Minnesota Vikings. You still have Justin Jefferson that you have to deal with in Minnesota. So it feels like Green Bay, like for me, this division, the AFC North, and we'll talk, or the NFC North rather, and we'll talk more about the NFC North as we keep going on. Last week on Tuesday, we spoke about the AFC East. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about the AFC North. We're going to go AFC into the NFC. What they did during free agency, what they did during the draft, what team is supposed to be better. In the AFC East, I had the Buffalo Bills, the New England Patriots as the number 2 team, the Miami Dolphins as the number 3 team, and then, of course, the Jets, where the Jets belong, at the bottom as the number 4 team in the AFC East. And the NFC North, this is such a close division, such a close division. Chicago got better. Minnesota, maybe they're going to take a little step back. They're not going to win 14 games, but would you be surprised if they won 10 to 12 games? Probably not. Detroit, I don't think they're going to win 15 games. Would you be surprised if they won 12 to 14 games? Probably not. The Green Bay Packers, they made the playoffs last year. They were that 3rd playoff team out of the NFC North. They were doing fantastic stuff. It's going to take small little things like that separate your team from being a playoff contending team to the team that's sitting at home whenever the playoffs start. And I feel like missing someone like Jaire Alexander, whether he's good enough to play the entire season or not, is going to be something that's going to bite the Green Bay Packers in the ass. I didn't think that they were going to win the division. I still think that's Detroit's division to win. I still think that the cream of the crop, it's going to be Detroit, Minnesota, more than likely, Chicago, and Green Bay. So you're going to have Chicago and Green Bay fighting for that 3rd playoff spot. I like what Chicago did. I like that Chicago's gotten better. Losing Jaire Alexander now, what's that going to do for the Green Bay Packers? How is that going to help out the Green Bay Packers, especially this late in the offseason? I've got to look and see if there's any free agents that are still out there that could be a viable cornerback option for the Green Bay Packers. All right. James Bradbury, is that going to be the guy? Cornerback out of Philadelphia, he hasn't been signed yet. Kendall Fuller, is that who you're going to go for? Stephon Gilmore, maybe? Is that what you're going to try to go after? Shaquille Griffin? It feels like if you were just going to get rid of Jaire Alexander, that you probably should have just kept, or if you're going to go after one of these guys, that you probably should have just kept Jaire Alexander. Like it really feels that way. And I feel like Jaire Alexander might be able to get himself a little bit of something going on. He might be signed up by a different team. I don't think it'll be Dallas. It'll probably be a team like Washington or something like that. That's a great point right there, Tommy. Tommy's saying maybe they will trade for Jalen Ramsey. What does their salary cap look like? Let's look at the Green Bay Packers salary cap. They should have a decent amount of cap space left. I do see that they do. Damn, maybe you're right, Tommy. Maybe that's what they're going to do. Totally forgot about the Jalen Ramsey trade talk. The Green Bay Packers, the way they are constituted right now, have $45.4 million in cap space. This is before they have to sign all their rookies and players like that. So once they get the rookies and stuff signed, you'll figure they'll have about $25 million that they can play with right here. So that might be able to be something that they can trade for. Let's see what type of draft capital. Let's see what type of draft capital the Green Bay Packers have going into the future as well. Because I feel like, again, if you were going to trade Jaire, or if you were going to release Jaire Alexander, you could have traded him, right? Like, that's something that Miami could have done, is like, we'll take this contract that's about to expire, let it expire. If we get game time out of him, we'll get something. But to just have nothing is odd to me. The Green Bay Packers do have a full slate of draft picks in 2023. They don't have anything extra. It's just their normal draft picks that they have. One pick in round 1 through 7. Yeah, just one pick in rounds 1 through 7 each round, right? So first round, second round, third round, fourth round, fifth round, sixth round, seventh round, just one pick there. Would that be enough to make some trades there? But I feel like trading Jaire Alexander to Miami along with some picks and saying we'll take that contract would have been the win-win, right? Maybe they do trade for Jalen Ramsey, but man, that, I don't know. It feels weird. And if they do trade for Jalen Ramsey, then I'm going to take all this back. I got no problem being like, Lil, you know what? I was wrong. Got no problems with that. I was wrong. But also, what version of Jalen Ramsey are you going to get? And is Jalen Ramsey really that much better than Jaire Alexander? I know, obviously, the best ability is availability, and Jaire Alexander has missed half the season the last 2 years, missed the equivalent of a full season over the last 2 years. So maybe that's what it is. But it's not like Jalen Ramsey has been the Jalen Ramsey of old, right? Like, now he's just old Jalen Ramsey. So what are we going to get out of that with the Green Bay Packers? It'll be interesting to see, though. You've got me sparked. You got me intrigued and thinking that Jalen Ramsey might be a Green Bay Packer. Let's look at what the Packers' schedule is going to be like this year. Preseason games, we don't care about that. Buffering. That's what we're doing right here. So in the regular season, they open up against Detroit. Ooh, let's do wins and losses for the Green Bay Packers here. Home game against the Detroit Lions, I'm going to call that a loss. At home versus the Washington Commanders, we'll call that a win. At the Cleveland Browns, we're going to call that a win. So they're 2-1 on the season so far, 3 games in. Week 4, they go to Dallas and take on the Dallas Cowboys on NBC. Sunday Night Football. We're going to go with the Dallas Cowboys on that one. So we're going to go 2-2. The Cincinnati Bengals, that game at Lambeau Field, man, that's a tough game. Do I really have them going 1-2 at home in their first 3 games? I do. 2-3 on the season after that loss to Cincinnati. On the road to Arizona, they beat Arizona, so they're 3-3. On the road to Pittsburgh, they beat Pittsburgh, so they're 4-3. They beat Carolina, so they're 5-3. They lose to the Philadelphia Eagles. That game at Lambeau, wow. I've got them losing a ton of games at Lambeau Field. I don't know how I feel about this. I'm still on the fence about them beating Washington at Lambeau. Man, I've got them losing 3 out of their first 4 home games. I can't see them beating Philadelphia. I can't see them beating Detroit. I can't see them beating Cincinnati. Damn. I know Mireya saying you can't have them losing at home, but those it's not like those are bad teams, right? Like maybe they split with Detroit. Like maybe they can split with Detroit. Maybe that's a win that they can get. But against Philadelphia, against Cincinnati, like those are really good teams. Okay, so let's go over this again. We'll have them split with Detroit. We'll do a home and home with Detroit, which again, I feel I'm sticking to my guns. I'm sticking to my guns. Lose week 1 at Detroit. You beat Washington. You beat Cleveland, so now you're 2-1. You lose to Dallas, you're 2-2. You lose to Cincinnati, you're 2-3. You beat the Arizona Cardinals, you're 3-3. You beat the Steelers, you're 4-3. You beat the Panthers, you're 5-3. You lose to Philadelphia, you're 5-4. Then you go to the Giants, you beat the Giants, you're 6-4. Minnesota at Lambeau, you're going to beat Minnesota, so you're 7-4 right now. Ford Field at Detroit, you beat Detroit, you're 8-4. Chicago at Lambeau, you beat Chicago, 9-4. The Denver Broncos at Mile High, man, that's going to be a good game. The Broncos have a tough schedule, or the Packers have a tough schedule, guys. Jesus. We'll say they beat the Broncos. They're 12-4. Chicago, they maybe beat the Bears. We'll give the Bears this one. This one's in Chicago. 12-5. Baltimore, we'll call that a loss. 12-6. The Minnesota Vikings, that's at Minnesota. We'll call that a loss. They finished the season going 1-3 at the best, 0-4. Wind up being 12-7 or 12-5 on the season. I don't know, guys. I'm gonna have to look over the schedule. I think 12 wins for the Packers is a lot. Mireya saying the Packers haven't lost in Chicago in years. This is a completely different Chicago Bears team. Like it really is. They're a much better team. And I think having Ben Johnson there, and Ben Johnson's had some games as the Detroit Lions offensive coordinator, he's put up some points on the Green Bay Packers. Man, that's a tough schedule to try to figure out. Max, you can see this team getting 12 wins. You can see this being a 12-win team max. At the low end, you can also see them being a 9-win team, right? Like, I don't think that would surprise anybody. Mireya Reyes saying she has them at 13 wins beating Dallas. I hope maybe, right? Like that would be fun to see, possibly. I kind of do hate that Green Bay and Dallas play that early in the season. Like I always want to see them play late in the season. That's where I think that they would have a fun time, is playing late in the season. Shout out to Oswaldo R 1984 who tuned in over on Instagram. Thank you so much. That's going to be, man. So Mireya has the Packers. Obviously, this is going to be her home field bias. I guess I could say the same thing, right? I had the Dallas Cowboys at like a 12-win, 13-win team. Man. There are some tough games there, though, for the Packers, especially to start. That Washington game, that's not a gimme. And I have them beating Washington. That's not a gimme. You can see a real case scenario, like best case scenario here for the Green Bay Packers would be to go 4-0. I don't see them going 4-0 to start the season, right? Detroit, Washington, Cleveland, we can call that one a win, and Dallas. 3 of those games are going to be difficult. 2 of those games are at home, 2 games are on the road. But I can envision a scenario where the Green Bay Packers start the season 0-2, and it's not me being a hater. It's Detroit's good. Washington's good. Washington was in the NFC Championship game this past season, right? Jaden Daniels, like we all know, Jaden Daniels is a good quarterback. They did things to make their team better. That's a scary-ass team. Like, the Washington Commanders are no longer this pushover of a team. And it's crazy to me to think that there's a real possibility. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but there's the possibility of the majority of the losses this year for the Green Bay Packers coming at home. Because you have Detroit, you have Washington, you have Cincinnati, you have Philadelphia. Obviously, the Vikings and all of them are going to be whatever. Baltimore coming in there. Those are 5 really tough home games. And we're not even counting Minnesota. So 6 of your home games are pretty tough. Like, okay, you got the Bears and the Panthers left at home, and the rest of them are pretty tough. And I even think that the Bears game is going to be kind of a toss-up with that one because I like what the Bears have done. Man, this is going to be a really interesting season for the Green Bay Packers. And the thing that really sucks for them is that they got their bye week, week 5. So they have an early bye week. That's always for me, and maybe it's just me, I hate the early bye week. I'd rather have my bye week like week 10 to week 12, somewhere within that time frame. So that way you can actually, get healthy for the end of the season. You're going to have 12 straight games in the NFL without a break to end your season. That's going to be difficult. Mireya Reyes saying they will take a step back. Packers have had consistency over the years. Tough home games, but doable. It is doable. I think that that's the best thing about it, right? Like all those division games, the Vikings, Bears, Lions, all those games those are toss-ups. But Washington and Philadelphia, if I was the Packers, I'd be happier if it was Dallas and New York going into Lambeau than I would be if it was Washington and Philadelphia, especially Washington and Philadelphia. Because you're talking about the 2 teams that were in the NFC Championship game last year, and one team just won the effing Super Bowl. That's a hell of a. If I'm a Packers season ticket holder, though, I am not selling any of these tickets. None of these tickets are going on the resale market. Cincinnati's good. That's always going to be a fun team. That's going to be a fun game to watch. Detroit, obviously. Washington, that's going to be fun. Philadelphia is going to be fun. Carolina, maybe that's the game you sell. Maybe that's the game you're like, I don't need to go to this Carolina Panthers game. Maybe you want to see Ted McMillan in action. Maybe that's the one game you want to go to. But you got Minnesota, you got Chicago going in, so obviously you have your divisional game, and then Baltimore going in. Augustine saying, I've got a meeting. People have a cool day. Have a great day, Augustine. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's show. Hope you have yourself a fantastic day and a great meeting. MEATING. Man, I spent a lot more time on the Green Bay Packers than I initially thought I was going to do, but that's because I find this schedule of the Green Bay Packers to be very interesting. Very interesting. And then we'll have to see what it is that they do on defense to help with the loss of Jaire Alexander. Tommy Canazzo's right. Maybe, just maybe, the Green Bay Packers are going to trade for Jalen Ramsey. But that's a big maybe. Mireya Reyes saying, I think you're a fan. Most definitely not. Definitely not. I'm a fan of chaos. And thinking that a team can lose potentially 4 to 5 games at home and still be a playoff contending team, that is the kind of chaos injected into my veins. You should already know this by now. I'm all about the chaos. All right, everybody, I want to thank you so much for tuning into today's show. Remember, tomorrow, yes, it's already here, June 10th. Tomorrow, we're going to be live at Buffalo Wild Wings, 655 Sunland Park Drive. We're not going to be live because I'm not going to do a podcast out there. We're just going to be hanging out, watching some soccer, watching some sports. Tommy, I know you don't want to watch soccer, but come on out, eat a whole bunch of wings with Augustine the Iceman Cone, Brandon the Iceman Cone, Augustine Pimentel, and myself. We're all going to be hanging out over here. I think Mireya's going to try to make it out there. We're going to have a whole crew of people out there. And even if we don't, I'm still going to be a big fat guy, eating as many wings as I possibly can because I'm a big fat guy. So why wouldn't I be big and fat and die before I'm 45? Once again, everyone, thank you so much for being a part of today's show. Hopefully, we'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one, guys. This is Mike Tipton from Tipton Sports Broadcasting, inviting you to join us on Tuesday, June 10th at Buffalo Wild Wings, 655 Sunland Park Drive on the west side of El Paso for all-you-can-eat wings. As a big fat guy, you know I'm going to be stuffing my face, so why not join me and Brandon the Iceman Cone for all-you-can-eat wings? Be sure to tune in to Fire and Ice every Saturday as we talk sports or anything else that might come to mind. At B-Dubs, enjoy the $4 house beer Wild Herd, $5 Bud Lights, and $6 Voodoo Rangers. And take advantage of their $4 Fireball shots.
Fireball.
Happy hour is Monday through Friday from 3 to 6 p.m. Be sure to try the delicious new sandwiches like the beer cheese, cheesesteak, and chicken parm melt. Plus, all-you-can-eat wings Monday through Thursday until June 26th. $24.99 for bone-in wings, $19.99 for boneless wings, and the fries are included. All you can eat bone-in and boneless wings Monday through Thursday, and Fire and Ice every Saturday at Buffalo Wild Wings, 655 Sunland Park Drive.